All right, guys, so we got to talk about a very interesting story that is going to shed light on some hard realities of the world. And one of the reasons why, once again, low key, I am one of these people that adheres to this idea that, hey, maybe, just maybe, there are some people that you just can't really help, right? There's some people that there's not that much you can do for them, right? At the end of the day, they're just going to be who they are, and pouring resources into these people is probably a waste of money, right? I'm just keeping it 100. It sounds bad. It sounds terrible, but I'm just saying this because the woke revolutionaries want us to believe that the problems in the black community, right? The reason why the black community is so behind everybody else is because they don't have enough resources, right? They don't have enough money, right? It's not culture. It's not the values that are being instilled in these kids. It's not the single parent household. No, it's none of that. It's just money, right? Just more money, right? We need more handouts, more reparations, more resources need to be given to black people. And all of a sudden, black people are going to thrive, right? Black people are going to be out competing the Asians and the whites in school, right? Everything's going to turn around. Unfortunately, that's not the reality, okay? And we have kind of some anecdotal evidence of what I'm talking about here, right? And it stars no other than LeBron James's IPromise school, which is basically facing a state takeover because the school is an epic disaster. But you wouldn't know that listening to the mainstream liberal media.
5 years ago, NBA superstar LeBron James opened the IPromise school in his hometown of Akron, Ohio. The goal, to give at-risk youth a place to learn and feel supported.
I understand the mental state that goes in with these kids and where they come from.
About 1,600 students have attended the school, which demands that its students promise to always do their best and make healthy choices.
It's up to us as the mentors and everybody in place to help them to get to that point. That's what kids want to know. Do you care about me? And we do here.
Proof of that, every graduate receives a college scholarship.
I never thought that I could have a chance to go to college. It goes back to breaking those cycles, those generational curses. We're really doing something different here.
This year, LeBron's foundation opened a community center offering job training. The foundation also runs a food bank and provides medical services.
Man, LeBron James, he's a role model. And he empowers us, and he shows us every day that if you work hard, you can live out your dreams.
Yeah, so I don't want people to get it twisted, okay? In regards to this video and what I'm getting at here, I commend LeBron James for trying, right? For attempting to make a difference in his community by opening up this school, even though, again, it's funded by taxpayer money. It doesn't need to be because LeBron James is rich as hell, okay? He definitely could fund it all by himself. But again, when you are receiving taxpayer dollars, you should be subject to taxpayer scrutiny, especially when this school quite literally is one of the worst schools in the state, right? It is one of the worst schools in the state. There's been story after story about a rotation of principals. I mean, there was a story about a principal slapping a student, right? We did a story about how there was an incident where a boy basically got beat to death, okay, on a basketball court, even though that really didn't have anything to do with the school. I'm just saying there's been a whole lot of controversy around this school. And again, this school is facing the same problems that mostly black schools in low-income communities face, right? And again, it tells you everything you need to know about the problem when it comes to education, which is not funding, which Democrats swear now, oh, we need more funding, right? We need more this, we need more that. We need to just throw money at the problem. It's not. It's culture, right? When you have bad culture, when you have broken families, okay, when you have a lack of fathers in the community, right? When, again, you're just, you just have bad kids, you're going to get bad results, right? And this is, again, exactly what I'm talking about. So I want to read about this. Again, I'm not celebrating it. I'm just simply saying that this is not working, right? This is a disaster. So let's read about it. The inaugural class of third graders at the LeBron James supported IPromise School in Akron will soon start 8th grade, and for each of the last 3 school years, none of those students have scored proficient in Ohio's math proficiency test. So 0. None of those students at LeBron James' school have scored proficient in Ohio's math proficiency test. So basically, they're not learning. They're not learning. They are, again, facing the same issues that all of these schools face in these interliberal cities with mostly black students. Students ain't learning nothing, right? The fact was alarming to some Akron Board of Education members who listened to an update during their meeting Monday on the school's progress. Meanwhile, the school, which by design only takes students who are 2 or more years behind grade level, was placed on a state academic watch list for schools flagged for, quote, additional targeted support and improvement. To be added to the watch list, at least one of the school's student subgroups' performance must be in the lowest 5% of schools in the state. At IPromise, black students and students with disabilities meet that criteria. So again, it just so happens that it is black students and students with disabilities that meet that criteria. Now, here's the thing. You got to give a little bit of understanding to the fact that by design, the school is taking students that are behind, right? But again, the school is supposed to actually help, right? They're supposed to help fix that problem. Now, if they said that 30 or 40 or even 50% of the students were proficient, then I would say, okay, well, that's acceptable considering that you're by definition taking students that are behind, right? But if the results of what you're doing is not equaling students being able to do basic math at grade level, then it's not working, right? It doesn't matter if you're taking students that are behind already. What you're doing to help them is not working, right? It's not working. The school is 60% black and 28% of the 554 students have disabilities. IPromise is a public school in the Akron Public Schools District, but it is supported by the LeBron James Family Foundation, which provides additional wraparound services to students and also funds more staff to create smaller class sizes. The school also has an extended academic calendar, additional summer and at-home tutoring help, and a suite of services both in and out of school to help families with basic needs. So again, all these resources, right? So they have all this stuff for the families. They have smaller class sizes. They have additional at-home tutoring. And none of these kids, literally none of these kids, can do math at grade level. None of them. With all this stuff, right? You threw all this money at these kids, all these resources, and they still failed. Again, what does that tell you? Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I know what I'm saying. It sounds screwed up, but I'm really am a tell it like it is guy. Some people you just can't help, right? I don't care how much money you throw at them. They're just not not gonna make it. And we have to accept that reality when it comes to some of these schools and some of these students in these interliberal cities, because more than likely these students come from broken homes. And because the homes are broken, because they come from, single parent households, again, there's no way to fix this. You can't throw money at the problem and think that, well, we're going to fix it. It's just not going to happen because they've already been broken basically when, they were conceived, right? I mean, it was done. They didn't have a chance. Didn't have a chance just based on the circumstances. Again, it's very unfortunate, but that is the reality. And that's why I'm always pushing for traditional family values, traditional conservative values. That's how you fix this. Not throwing money at a problem, but hey, look, less broken homes, more fathers in households, not having kids out of wedlock, right? Parents being more responsible, parents valuing education, making sure that their kids are being taught what they need to be taught and reading to them at a young age and doing what they need to do to help their child get ahead. Clearly, these things probably weren't done. And again, that's why they're failing, despite the fact that you have all these resources being thrown at them. But Democrats will say, no, keep setting your money on fire, throwing money at this stuff. It's underfunded. The education system is underfunded, right? But it's not the case. This school is receiving more funding. I guarantee this school is receiving more funding than the average school, and these kids it's a disaster. They didn't learn nothing. Quote, where I'm coming from is that we keep talking about the resources that we're putting into the IPromise school, and the kids at the other schools don't have anywhere near the same number of resources, and yet that the difference there is not what I would think it would be, said Board of Education President Derek Hall. Ding, 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 right? Which, again, tells you everything you need to know. The school traditionally has received about $1.4 million from James Foundation per year to fund additional staff, although that number was smaller last year due to staffing shortages, said Keith Clifford, Akron's director of school improvement. He provided data showing that the pandemic shutdown of in-person classes appears to have seriously harmed students' academic progress. National data shows those shutdowns especially hurt marginalized groups of students. Yeah, so who can you blame for that? Who do you blame for that? You blame Democrats, right? But again, like I said, and I've been saying over the last few days, doesn't matter what policies the Democrats push, right? Think about the educational policies the Democrats push, okay? They have just been a disaster for black people. But there have been other shakeups at IPromise beyond the pandemic. The school has had 5 different principals since 2018, including one principal who resigned after she reportedly struck a student. Well, why is that? Because the students are probably bad kids, okay, who, this is what they do, right? They act up in class and do all types of crazy stuff. Nearly 20 teachers, intervention specialists, and tutors left the building last year alone, said Pap Shipe, president of the Akron Education Association, a teachers union. A total of 57 of those staff there. Yeah, so again, bad students. Again, why? Because of what's going on in the home. That's why. You got teachers fleeing the school. Kids so bad that the principal had to slap the student, right? Got to slap the students. Teachers are struggling to deal with the level of need students have and are frustrated with the lack of transparency from building administrators in dealing with problem behaviors, Stripe said. Last year, the school district changed its admissions process to reduce the number of students with learning disabilities accepted to comply with state law and union agreements, according to reporting by the Akron Beacon Journal. More changes are needed at the school to better serve teachers and students, said Stripe. I'm going to keep it 100. They should just shut it down. They should just shut it down. This is not going to work, right? This is basically a glorified alternative school, right? Unless that's the intention. If the intention is for this to be an alternative school where you just send a bunch of bad kids to the school and just, push them along, right, until they graduate, right? If that's the intention, okay, cool, keep it open. But if the intention is to actually help them and you see that it's not working, it should be shut down. It should be shut down. Quote, we have the majority of students that are in the bottom tier academically, that have disabilities, that have frustrations, and bring a lot to school every day with them, as we do in our other buildings, Stipe said. Quote, but it's magnified at the IPromise school, so there needs to be an adjustment and a different point of view on how we look at and handle both student progress, student behaviors, and the autonomy of teachers in the classroom to address those issues. The LeBron James Family Foundation, in a statement, said it's committed to its partnership with Akron Public Schools. All right, we've seen all this stuff. So let's actually read about more of the results here. Leslie Clifford, in a presentation Monday, explained that IPromise school students are performing a little better in terms of reading and English compared to their Akron school peers that were also in the bottom 25% of student performance, but who weren't selected for the school. Meanwhile, IPromise students perform worse than their Akron school peers when it comes to math. So again, they're not really performing any better overall than everybody else around them. Right, which again tells you what the problem is. Right, again, it's not the resources, it's not the money, it's the environment. It's how these kids are being raised. That's what it is. IPromise students' performance on Ohio State tests show little growth in achievement, at least as measured by the state. Lynchley Clifford provided graphs showing that the inaugural class of 3rd and 4th grade students' English and math scores plunged since they started at the IPromise school in 2018, 2019, and are only just starting to recover. So they got dumber, right? They went to this school and they got dumber. Stephanie Davis, who became principal in June struck a hopeful tone in a statement provided by the LeBron James Family Foundation. She points to students, quote, "iReady" scores, which show students' mastery of topics separate from tests. Quote, "Our students have not yet met the grade level mastery mark, but they are demonstrating growth based on iReady scores," she said. Of our incoming 8th graders, 32% met their annual typical growth in reading, while 11% met their stretch goal for the year. Despite not mastering the grade level standards, 42% of students demonstrated growth in iReady math across their 7th grade school year. Quote, "When working with students who are achieving below grade level, growth is as important as a measure of progress as proficiency, and the type of growth that is important to us is not made overnight," she concluded. "It takes time." The school, in its most recent state report card, received 1 out of 5 stars in the achievement and early literacy categories, but did earn 3 out of 5 stars in the progress category, meant to show student growth over time. Yeah, so again, I don't think it's a good idea to send these kids to college, right? I'm not sure if it's a good idea to send these kids to a 4-year college or university thinking that they're going to succeed, right? I'm not sure how well that's going to work out unless there is significant improvement. In my opinion, I think resources will probably be better well spent basically trying to prepare these students to start working immediately after they graduate high school, right? To get real jobs where they don't have to do, too much reading and writing and math, and work for a living, right? To give them some actual real hands-on skills so that, again, they can get decent jobs, because clearly academics is not their strong point, right? And if the measure of success is going to be academics, again, this is going to continue to be a failure, right? They probably, if I was LeBron, I would probably try to transform the school more into a skill school, right? Like maybe like a trade school, more so than trying to send these kids to college. This is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You shouldn't be sending kids like this to college. They just shouldn't be there. You need to send them to a trade school where they can actually learn a skill, a specialized skill, and get a decent job. And then hopefully you can break this cycle of poverty and terrible achievement and performance that clearly is present in this neighborhood or this area. But again, this is an epic disaster. Again, this is proof, in my opinion, at least anecdotally, that throwing resources at the problem, just throwing money at these people, it's not going to help, right? Unless you fix the actual foundational issues, which, again, a lot of it really is just culture, family, lack of, again, nuclear families, and, things like that really are what kids need to achieve, right? To be successful, or at the very least to be able to read at grade level, okay? Whether or not they go on to become geniuses and scholars, that's a whole different story. But still, when you got kids performing this bad, despite the resources being thrown at the school, that tells you everything you need to know about what the problem is. Not the school, it's not really the resources, not money, it's the parents, right? It is the environment. It is how these kids are growing up. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.